Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning, Dr. George.
How are you doing today?
I've had better days.
You've had better days. And so I was a little bit concerned. I know we missed our meeting last week because you said you were feeling sick. And so you seem to be doing better, but you'd like to check in about what happened last week and how you dealt with feeling sick and where you are with it, where you are with that today.
Well, being sick, I think I got just a cold from maybe someone at school or something. It wasn't like a really bad cold, but last week when it was time for our session, I really wanted to just kind of sleep and rest, and I didn't feel like getting up and just doing a session. And I mean, part of that is just like I've been really depressed kind of last week and since the last time we talked, and it kind of has to do with Lauren. And I wrote that letter like we had talked, but I didn't send it to her. But it just keeps getting more and more awkward at school and everything, and seeing her, and I don't know, like, it's just, if I had talked to her kind of from the very start, then I just wouldn't be here where I am now. But it's like now every day that passes just is more and more awkward because she knows I'm avoiding her. And she just seems to be like trying to talk to me less and less. And then I don't know, I feel like I've messed that all up, and I don't know where to go. And then I got sick, and then with that I have been ignoring my other friends, and they keep texting, and I just am not replying a whole lot to them. And I just feel like everything keeps going from kind of just bad to worse, and I'm stuck, and I don't know how to fix any of it. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to, like, how to talk to her anymore. And I just have days where I don't even want to go to school, and I'm not sleeping as much because of it. And I'm up all night sitting and thinking about everything that's happened and everything that could, and if I talk to her and if I don't, and I don't know, I'm really overwhelmed right now.
Samantha, I'm so sorry you're going through all this. It sounds like you've been having a pretty difficult week. You talked about feeling stuck. And then you got sick on top of that. So I'm so sorry that you had such a tough week. But you're here right now. So what made you decide on coming to counseling?
I don't know. When I come to my other sessions and I talk about stuff, then like sometimes it just makes me feel a little better to just like tell someone, and just to say things out loud and everything. But so I don't know, I guess I was just hoping that maybe if I came, I could just talk everything out loud and try to figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Good for you. It sounds like what has helped you is sometimes when you're feeling stuck is to find somebody that you can just say those things out loud. I don't know what it is that makes things better when you say them out loud or when you write them down, but it leaves your mind, and it puts it out there with somebody else or on a piece of paper, and it kind of gives you a better way of dealing with it. So congratulations for coming back to counseling. I know this has not been easy. It would be so much easier just to isolate and stay home, wouldn't it? But you got up and you're here. So I want you to give yourself congratulations on that. So I know you mentioned with, his name is Lauren, is that correct? And we talked about an assignment. How did that go?
Um, so I ended up writing the letter,
Okay.
and I just like I kind of just wrote down what I was feeling at the time and kind of what I want to say to her, but I never really sent it to her because I don't know, to me, like everything I was saying, it almost sounded like I was blaming her for the reason I don't want to talk to her. I mean, well, and I also, it was kind of a confusing letter because I do want to talk to her, but it's just because I'm kind of afraid to talk to her, and I'm afraid of what she might say or how she feels. And so I wrote it, but I've just kind of had it sitting on my desk since then.
Good job on at least writing the letter. And with these exercises, you don't necessarily have to send that to the person. I've had clients that would write letters that were difficult, but they didn't have to send it. It's kind of like what you talked about before, just the idea of just talking to somebody, writing some things down gives you a better perspective. So you're certainly under no obligation to send that letter to her. So would you feel comfortable reading that letter to me? Would you feel comfortable if we went over that? Would that be okay? And then just pretend that I'm Lauren, if you feel comfortable with that, and we'll just see where things go. So why don't you go ahead and read that letter?
Okay. Dear Lauren, I'm writing this letter because sometimes it's easier to say something on paper than out loud. I know I've been avoiding you and you keep trying to reach out to me, but I'm kind of scared. I'm scared that you hate me for everything that happened to you, but I'm also afraid that maybe you don't, because if you don't, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Every time I see you, I just get mixed feelings because I'm happy to see you, but I'm also reminded of everything. And then I also just feel guilty. I'm really confused right now, and I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings avoiding you. I really didn't mean to. I would like to talk to you if you still want to talk to me. Samantha.
So again, good job on that. So what kind of feelings did you experience as you were reading that letter right now?
I just kind of, whenever I was writing the letter and when I see her and just with Lauren, I just get really, really scared. And I don't know, when I was writing the letter, it's like I just kind of keep getting stuck back in that moment when we were kids, and I just keep remembering everything over and over again, and I just I feel really guilty about it, and it hurts to remember it. And then I'm like, if it hurts for me, then it probably is a painful memory for her too. And I also don't want to bring all that back up with her. And I don't know what to do, because I do want to reach out to her, but I don't know how.
Samantha, and right now may not be the best time. Part of this is you trusting your instincts. And go ahead. And trusting your instincts is going to be the most important thing. So what are your thoughts about that, about trusting your instincts?
Well, because whenever I end up in kind of any situation that's hard and stuff, I just always kind of want to avoid it and not face it at all. And I don't know, that just seems like a bad thing to me. But at the same time, that's the first thing that I just want to do.
You remember your character, Sam? I'm just curious, and you're very creative. So if Sam heard you read that letter, what would Sam say to you about your letter and about what you're feeling? What would she say?
Um, she'd say that I should just go up to Lauren and talk to her, because the sooner I get it over with, the sooner I'll know one way or another and be able to move on.
What do you think about that?
I think it would help knowing, but I just can't get past being scared about knowing.
That's okay. And this will take time. So when you feel scared, what helps you? What do you do? So I know last week you felt sick and you were writing the letter and so on, but what are some things that you did that were helpful when you were feeling scared? What has helped you in the past?
Um, I kind of try to stop thinking about whatever it is that's scary, and so I just find distractions. Normally I would like watch movies or something to kind of take my mind off of anything. But here this last week, I ended up, I told you about Zeus, the dog that I ended up getting.
Yes, Zeus the dog. What's going on with Zeus the dog?
Well, so I started using him as like a distraction.
Okay.
And so when I was just feeling, I don't know, really upset about Lauren and ignoring my friends and stuff, I was taking him out on walks and just kind of, I don't know, just using him as a distraction to kind of get away from all of it.
So how do you think Zeus felt about being used as a distraction?
I'm sure he's probably overwhelmed, because he like got thrown into this house with me, and now like the first week that I have him, all I do around him is cry, and I complain to him about everything.
So what do you think Zeus thinks about you crying and using him as a distraction?
He like, whenever I'm crying, he seems like he's all worried, because he like comes around and I don't know, he just like is constantly, licking my hand or putting his head up against me and stuff. And then here recently, because every time I start crying and stuff, I tend to take him on a walk. He now he brings me his leash whenever I'm crying, because I think he thinks it means it's like time to go on a walk.
That is funny. I like your dog Zeus. Maybe someday I can meet him. Maybe he can be part of this conference call. Wow. It sounds like you have a good friend in Zeus. And he pays attention to you. And he's thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity. Not only do I take care of my owner, but I get to walk. So you held on to Zeus. I know you were thinking about, this is one more thing you have to care for, but you held on to Zeus. So what made you decide to hold on to Zeus?
Well, I was gonna try to find somewhere to give him, like a family to give him to or something. And And then kind of as my week got really bad and he was just there and he was someone to talk to. And, he like when I talk to him, he doesn't have anything really like negative to say, right? I can literally just like tell him anything. And I'm also not like afraid of him going and telling other people, of course, because he can't. And and then like just at night when I was up and thinking about a lot of stuff, then he was just kind of sitting there. And I think I just sort of got attached to him with sort of the rough week that I had.
Good job on holding on to Zeus. Good job for allowing your Zeus to love you and to care for you. Good job. So it seems like one of your coping skills is spending time with your dog Zeus. Looks like another thing that you did, you took a walk. So when you take a walk, how does that help you?
Well, like before I wouldn't actually take walks to do it. That's new because of Zeus. And when I go walking out with him because he wants so much attention and he wants to play and everything, then it just takes my mind off everything that's going on. And over just the park that we walk in and stuff, it's not close to anyone that I know. And so like I'm not worried about running into anyone.
Right.
And so I don't know, for me it's just a place where I don't have to think about what's going on, and don't have to be worried that I'm gonna run into someone that like I've been avoiding or something.
Good for you. So spending time, so when you feel scared or overwhelmed, what helps is when you spend time with Zeus, kind of talk to your dog and just spend time. Next, second of all, is taking a walk with your dog or just taking a walk, and then going to a park or finding a place where you may not run into anybody, which is good. So what you're doing, you're caring for yourself and you're allowing yourself to get out of that stressful situation, and that works for some people. Sometimes people get triggered. I work with people that get triggered in certain circumstances. So for them, getting out of that circumstance and just going someplace is a way of de-escalating the stress. Good job on that. So what else helps you when you feel scared?
I don't know. I really have just sort of always run from it when I felt scared. And that's all that I really tend to do. And when I was a lot younger and I didn't, have kind of the ability to just like watch movies or read books all the time and stuff, then that's when I would write about Sam.
Okay.
And dive into that world. And then once I, became an adult and I got out on my own, then I started using just like movies and TV and books, and just anything that kind of just distracted me and kind of made me forget about what was going on for a little bit.
Okay. So finding a movie to help get your mind off what's going on has also been helpful. And of course, writing with your fictitious character Sam, helping process that. So has there ever been a time where you did actually talk to somebody and had a difficult situation and it went well? Has there ever been a time?
I don't think so.
So this would be very new for you to do that. And again, Samantha, I would encourage you, I think you're doing all the right things. If you're not ready to have that conversation, then you're under no obligation. And what I like, what I've seen you doing, you're taking care of yourself, and I'm so pleased that you're doing that. That you're doing things that are beneficial, that are life affirming, than self-destructive things like you used to do in the past. So anything else that you do now? You mentioned about not sleeping well. Are you taking any medications or anything like that? How are you? Um, have you spoken to a doctor about your sleeping patterns or anything medically that you may need to take a look at?
Um, I mean, I didn't think to maybe do that. I just thought that it's because of everything going on, and I would say it's just a lot of stress and just a lot of anxiety. And back more when I was a teenager, I used to take medicine for anxiety,
Right.
and then I kind of got off of it and I didn't need it.
Okay.
And most of the time I'm fine and I don't think I need it. But like last week it might have helped a little bit.
If you felt it would be helpful, who do you talk to about taking a look at some meds? Particularly deal with anxiety or with your sleeping. Do you have a physician, or do you have one? Okay. How do you feel about, what are your thoughts about your doctor? What's your experience with your physician?
She's really, really nice actually.
Good.
Yeah. And I before I got like hospitalized and before I came into therapy and stuff, sometimes I would just talk to her a little bit about things going on in my life, and it never really in like a lot of detail, but if I had a stressful week and then I was in to see her or something, I'd just tell her about things that had stressed me out and stuff.
When's your next appointment with her, or do you have one scheduled?
Um, I don't right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a physician that you trust. Part of caring for ourselves, we look at all different aspects, right? Not just our emotional, but also our physical, as well as our spiritual, and all those things play into feeling well. So good job on that. So anything else that has been helpful when you feel scared or feel stuck?
Um, I mean, sometimes when I get really, really scared, or I'm in a situation where I get really scared, um, I don't know, I just tend to like try to get out of it as quickly as possible, and then I just sort of block it all out. And I think that's where like some of my memory losses is, like I just blocked it out so much that there's things that I just can't even remember anymore. Um, and some of that is what's been coming back since I was hospitalized, and then just everything. But I don't know, I just have always dealt with stuff like that by not really dealing with it.
And it sounds like you're in a position today where you would like to find other ways of dealing with things that you may have blocked out. And my thoughts about blocking things out, I think that's the way our minds, our bodies deal with trauma. Sometimes it's necessary not to remember certain things because they're so traumatic. Sometimes it may be good not to even remember those things. I'm not of the opinion that it's important to dredge up all the things that are frightful to us. I think our minds and our souls are designed in a way to protect us. So Samantha, don't feel pressure to bring up things that you may not feel comfortable with. I think if it's important, it'll come up. But I would encourage you not to purposely dig up things that may not be necessary. Just kind of do what you're doing. Kind of focus on the here and now. With you being in school, loving your dog Zeus. I'm so glad. You kept Zeus. Writing. and slowly, allowing yourself to find people that you trust. But it's going to take some time. So, Samantha, please don't feel pressure that you have to jump into this thing all right away. Now, it took you a while to get to where you are, right? You've experienced a lot of trauma in the past. So it may take that amount of time for you to get to where you feel comfortable, all right? The most important thing is that you're caring for yourself, which I'm hearing. So I know our time is almost closed, but have you been back to school? You've been back to school since, all right. And how are you? And I know you still feel some things about Lauren, but how is that? What's it like now going back to school? Are you able? How are you dealing with that?
Um, it's been really stressful, and um, I've just been like kind of trying to find every way I can to almost avoid Lauren, but still be in class. Um, but then like I don't know, it's like the other day, I was leaving school and I saw Lauren, and it was just sort of the look in her eyes, like she just looked really hurt now because I've been avoiding her and she knows it. And it just, I don't know, it's just, it's a really uncomfortable situation to be in. And then when I was dealing with all the stress of that and just everything, some of my other friends were like texting me, and especially they knew I'd gotten sick. And I've just really been kind of avoiding answering their texts or sending really short answers. And so now it's kind of awkward because I don't know, because I've been avoiding them now too, and I don't know how to like start talking to them again, and like whether to tell them why I wasn't answering their texts or just pretend like kind of, nothing had happened and go back to the way that I was talking to them, or I don't know.
Maybe the answer is going to be a little bit of both of those things. And again, I would trust Sam, the character you created. I think she may have some wisdom. And at the same time, you may need to balance when and where. Right. So again, don't feel pressured. Just do the best you can. I think again, the most important thing is that you care for yourself. If you're feeling yourself being overwhelmed, you have your coping skills like walking your dog and taking walks in the park, journaling, writing. I think those things are helpful. And then visiting, if you need to make an appointment with your doctor, I would encourage you to do that when you feel comfortable to do that. And I think you'll get to the point where you will make another decision about Lauren. But right now, I think the main important thing is that you're caring for yourself. That's the most important thing. And then that you be patient with yourself. I think sometimes we tend to be harder on ourselves than we need to be. Okay?
Okay.
Are you gonna be okay? Now if you find yourself getting stuck, you can always call me and we can make we can do a session in between just because we're waiting. So we don't have to wait, 7 days. You can feel free to call me and we can make an emergency session if you feel really stuck. All right. So that
Okay.
so you have that available. All right.
Okay.
All right, Samantha. You take care of yourself. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Dr. George.
You're welcome.